You're listening to Relatable with Stephanie Michele, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody. Ooh, what was that frog in my throat? Let's try that again. Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Relatable. I'm your host, Stephanie Michele. Lots of things on my mind, both personally and just with the news. And I guess the way to summarize this is just to acknowledge that I'm running a little low on relational fuel right now. And I've been that way for about a week. And what I mean by relational fuel is just experiencing the best in people. I got a slight break from that disappointment on Sunday when I volunteered at a public art project. Shout outs to Arts Bridging the Gap and Artist Man One. That was a beautiful Saturday. I loved every part of it. Being able to connect with the volunteers and just put paint on the wall to brighten up a community. Although I have to admit, I didn't feel that I was afraid of heights, but my right leg disagreed and was shaking the whole time I was on the ladder. So yeah, my right leg is apparently afraid of heights. Anyhow, so back to Monday and back to work. Some tough stuff going on in the world right now, both with just relationships and news. One of my favorite people in the world yesterday had a really horrible experience where her daughter-in-law, her husband, got a call from his daughter, of what he thought was his daughter, and it was a woman screaming, "Help, Dad, I've been kidnapped." And then a man's voice got on the phone and said, "Give me money," and da-da-da-da. And horrible thing, horrible 30 minutes of just pure, like, what's going on, just terror. And it turns out that somehow a person hijacked this person's phone and made that call, and it was not real. Yeah, it was. Hell? Yeah, I know, not even real. So I don't know why people are leaning into these things, or like why it's okay to kind of do these things that are just so terrorizing. But like it's just got to stop, and it's really concerning. And then, of course, yesterday it was also, the Me Too social campaign, which I did take a part of. And, of course, like many people have thought about things that I've buried. I personally, in that whole fight, fleet, or freeze way of dealing with unfavorable situations, I tend to fleet unless the situation involves more people than myself, and then I'm a fighter. And then I'm going to go out and fight for whoever's involved. And, what I'm fighting for today, and what I will always continue to fight for, is giving the experience, or allowing the experience of integrity and goodwill to happen for all. I will not stand by and listen to political leaders lie and disrespect others. Love this shirt, by the way. We'll talk about that. I will not excuse bad behavior of any kind. I will not give someone a pass because they state, well, everyone else is doing it, and, the world's going to hell anyways. Nope, you're not going to get a pass from me. And as much as I want to crawl up in a ball sometimes and not interact with anybody at all, I will keep trying. I will make time for others. I will stop to notice who I'm around at all times and look for opportunities to be uplifting and encouraging to other people. We seem to all be carrying around a tiny little scale of justice. There is certainly enough tipping the scale and weighing it down on the unfair side of things. But I believe if we want to tip the scale in the other direction towards fairness, it's our personal interactions with each other that will help us do so. Let us feel the kindness of a stranger and be kind to strangers. Let's be kinder to each other. Let's notice each other and be reminded that we are not alone in this world. Me first will never make America great. Solutions come from thinking and acting mutually. So what does this look like on a personal level? Well, I want to explore that today, and I invited my guest today to do a little social experiment with me. This is the first time that we're meeting, and I'm wondering if there's a difference between focusing on just making a good first impression, where you're kind of focused on yourself, and versus just making a connection that's mutually meaningful. What kinds of things can we do to make interacting with each other more impactful? So as we try to figure this out together, if you're watching via Facebook Live, share your thoughts about this, like maybe some things that you've tried in interactions and reconnecting with people that just made it really meaningful for everybody that's involved. And with that note, let's meet my guest. So this is Jeroen de Wit. He is a graduate of Dolores Cannon's Quantum Healing Hypnosis Academy. Wow, that's a mouthful. He practices Reiki, emotional freedom technique, EMF balancing technique, quantum touch, and hypnosis in both Los Angeles and Amsterdam. He also holds a BA in art therapy and an MA in spiritual psychology from the University of Santa Monica. He equally believes in being a teacher and a student. Me too. He is a student of dance, bioenergetics, yoga, photography, and nature. Jeroen's mission in life is to empower as many people as possible, including himself, to live authentically by facilitating and teaching energy medicine processes.
Thank you. Nice introduction.
Yeah. Is it? I always ask, like, is it weird to like hear all those things about you? Like,
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's accurate. All right. Well, I hope so. Welcome.
Thank
first
you.
of all. The other thing that I like to ask everybody that sits in this chair before we start talking about what we intend to talk about, is there anything that's just pulling your attention that you just want to get off your chest and share before we go into kind of back and forth Q&A?
Sure. Well, I was really touched by your introduction. I didn't know that the wider scope of what you're doing has this amazing message, that you really want to be a force for integrity and love and compassion in the world. I didn't know that, so I'm really, really happy that I'm part of that, because that's what I want as well.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to get off my chest, and I'm a little camera shy, so
Don't worry.
That's what's on my mind as well.
It's a tiny camera, so
I know,
it's not that intimidating. More times I hear from the guests that this is like,
the microphone.
Yeah, it's like, what is that?
And I'm leaning in.
Yeah. But it's fine. It will be your best friend by the time we're done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
I guarantee it. So just on this topic of like meeting people for the first time, like what runs through your mind when you're about to meet someone that you've never met before?
I don't know. It kind of depends on the setting for me. I don't really think about it that much. Usually, like, say, if I were to meet a client for the first time, then I'm just usually very excited about getting to know somebody else and to be made part of their life.
Yeah.
So I'm just a really curious person.
Yeah.
And I want to find out, like, what makes them tick. Not just in what's going on for them in their lives right now, but also their experience of themselves as they're going through it. Yeah. Which is what's on my mind.
I can relate to that.
Great.
Yeah.
Off to a good start.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of things. We also shared privately before we started. Sometimes we'll do a sound check and I go, "What did you eat for breakfast?" He goes, "Banana." I was like, "I ate a banana." It's fun. Connection is all. My point in sharing that, even though it sounds kind of silly, is like connection is always there. Like you just have to find it. And I think the tool that I lead into the most, or the theme that I lead into the most, is just being curious. Like, when you're curious, you're not anxious. When you're curious, you're not self-centered or insecure. You're just curious, and it's like a mystery, and it's an adventure, and there's all kinds of things that could happen just being in that mode. So I agree with that, and you'll hear when I sign off the show, I always say relate with more curiosity. So
that's what you say?
Yeah.
Oh, what a good start.
Yeah, we're off to a really good start. All right, so you're curious. What kinds of things make a connection, or make it like an instant connection where you're like, oh, this is going to be like, I'm going to like this person. Like, I already feel good about this.
For me, it's when somebody is authentic. So both in their the content of their conversation, but also in their physical appearance. Not appearance so much, but in their the way they are in their body. Like if somebody's all like locked up, and it can be I'm empathic, so if I pick up on that, I have to fight through that myself. But if somebody is authentically present, also in their physical beingness, then I find that really easy. And laughter, of course.
Yeah.
You know, humor. I think, you know, when we find humor in places, we can take it a little distant from it.
Yeah.
And look at it with more compassion.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I agree with that. We talk about authenticity quite a bit on this show as well. For people that are listening, go, well, what does that really mean? Like, what does that, what does it look like? Can we elaborate on that? Like, what is it? What do you pick up on the most that feels like, oh, you know what? I think there's a layer here that I'm not getting to this person.
Right. Through my work and through my own personal process, my own journey, we've been inundated with programming and messages from society, from peer groups, from culture, from religion, from politics, all those external systems that are in place in our society. And I think we've all, to a degree, allowed that to dictate who we are. And it's dimmed our light. And so what I see is authenticity when that light shines through. And in my work, this is what I try to do. And for myself, this is what I try to emphasize and facilitate.
Yeah. And I will add to that. Sometimes, I try to be as authentic as I possibly can be. But yeah, there's times where sometimes there's a barrier. It's more of a, I'm almost like, it's a shield. It's a physical shield, or almost a boundary that I feel that I have to put up. A shield, I think, would be a better word, because maybe I'm not ready to be authentic there's something going on that I can't share in the way that I'd like to, or, I'm focused on something else, and or carrying some of the things that you just said, like, oh, I just had this experience where now I have to act and be this, Right. So it's not always, sometimes people have to protect themselves. And so if you're listening and going, oh, I'm sensitive to this, the being authentic, I believe that sometimes we have to protect ourselves, but I also believe that we are our best selves. And when you said light, when we are our best selves, when we're just letting that be. Sure. And removing that stuff that's, that you feel that you have to protect yourself.
Yeah, I think, if I may interrupt.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a process. Yeah. I think it's a process, because I of course I relate to that. There's times where I feel like nervous or insecure or, but I think authenticity is also, really what it is to be loving towards yourself. So that if you notice that you're nervous or insecure, acknowledge it and don't fight it. Just let it be there. Yeah, I mean, I don't think authenticity means that you're showing the back of your tongue or you're showing your soul at all times.
That's a weird expression.
It's actually very Dutch.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that is not an American expression.
Yeah, it's a Dutch expression that I just translated.
Yeah. What is this? What is it?
Showing the back of your tongue means like, to show your innermost heart. Or
what does it sound like in Dutch?
Het achterste van je tong laten zien.
I will not try to repeat that, but it sounded pretty cool. Yeah.
I don't know where I was.
It's okay. We were just talking about authenticity and I know where we can go with this. Back to kind of like what makes a first impression or makes a first connection really good and authentic for both people is like to actually share something like, hey, I'm feeling a little this, or like I just came from this, because most humans that I know, unless they're total sociopath, respond to that. They go, oh, I'm so sorry, or like, oh, you're feeling it. Oh, well, let's do this instead of that. Right. Being able to be vulnerable in whatever that is that you're feeling really creates connection very quickly.
I totally agree. Yeah. Vulnerability, I think, it's almost the same as authenticity, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
So yeah, I do as well. I share and I ask questions.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good. So we talked about what makes an instant connection. So we've talked about that in great lengths now, just like feeling feeling someone's soul, feeling them like who they are. What do you, when you reflect on like what makes a friendship or connection last, what does that look like? Not to put you on the spot.
I got to think about it because I think it has changed throughout my life. I have some friends that I've known very long, but then I've also got, friends that just stay in my life for a while and then we kind of, weave out of each other's lives. So it's mostly related to, I think, the processes that we're both going through, and if that matches. Yeah. So, yeah. Right now, I've been in LA for 10 years, and I'm still sort of finding my tribe of people. It's growing. So, yeah, right now it is dependent on if people, think along similar ways, have the same values.
Yeah.
And right now it is people that are on the path of authenticity and self-expression.
Yeah. So values and beliefs connect you to people, and of course, going through any kind of experience with people, like once you kind of see how people respond to a certain thing, or you go through, this amazing experience that like they were there with you, and it's like a story that you tell over and over again. That I think that creates a lot of bonding too, have a very unique experience with them. Let's go back. So I'm interested, and we haven't talked about this. So you've been here 10 years and you moved here from another country. What did that look like? When you first got here and you didn't know a lot of people, like where did you start to find your tribe? Like what did that look like?
Okay. I had a really good time landing here. I know a lot of people find it really hard, but I just... Did
you come to LA first?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was just totally in love with the environment, with the climate, and it felt like liberation to me, being who I am and where I came from. I never really realized that I felt uncomfortable in the Netherlands. I always thought it was me, that there was something wrong with me. And then I came to California, and I was like, oh, this is where my people are. So, yeah, I fit right in, and it was really affirming for me. And what did that look like in terms of like getting my tribe?
Did you go to like yoga studios, or like where did you start? What was kind of your go-to thing for meeting people?
Well, at the time it was casual dating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it like apps and stuff? Like no.
Oh, totally. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it was that,
like
and then online dating, and then I did get a relationship, and then I went to school, and that was a big help in finding community.
In
University of Santa Monica.
Yep, that would work, because everybody that's going to that school has similar values and beliefs. They're pursuing.
People
help.
that went.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Great,
everybody that goes to that university, they share a very similar vibe.
It's just amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's such a heart-centered place. Yeah. So it really allows you to connect with people at that level. And so that was it was like a warm bath of community that happened.
Yeah.
And there's a few friendships that came from it, but not a whole lot. But that really helped me to land and connect to the city. Yeah.
Such a great city to connect to.
It is. I agree. Because I just found out that you're not from here neither.
No. I grew up in Michigan. Shout out to my Michiganders. Hey. And then I spent 10 years in Texas, so shout out to my Texans. And most of my family are in Texas, except for my mom and my stepfather are in Florida. So shout out to the what do you call Florida people? Floridians?
Floridians?
Yeah, Florida. I'm not doing that very well. Just shout out to my...
Ask the immigrant.
Ask the immigrant. But yeah, so for me, what I can relate to and what you shared, I know a lot of people say a lot of derogatory things about California and Los Angeles in general. And for me, I came out here just to visit a friend, and when I saw like the nature aspect of it, I was just blown away. So at that time, I lived in Texas. Texas at that time, it's not this way anymore, was really going through a drought. It was like you never saw green patches of grass anywhere. It's very flat. It was brown. I remember having days where like the heat was so thick that I felt like I would go like this.
Wading through it.
Yeah, and I would have like a meeting at a coffee shop and would want to take a shower, before the next meeting, like happy hour time, because I just felt so intensely like thick and hot and heat. But for me, it was nature first and people second, because this is a major urban area. There's all kinds of people here, and if as you're learning about yourself and finding your tribe, as you said, there's a lot of things that you can do to experiment, to go, yep, this, not that, and it's all here.
Right.
It is all here. So I loved it. I love it too. I mean, I for friends and family that haven't visited me here and kind of don't care so much for California because of what they've heard, I really wish they would have a chance, or they would give themselves a chance to experience it the way that I've experienced it, because it's been really good for me.
I think also, if you can talk about the city for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like when I have friends coming in from a different country and, they ask me like, what can you show me? I'm like as a tourist, there's not such like big, impressive markers for them to go. Yeah, I mean the Hollywood sign, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not, or the, Hollywood Boulevard is where I'm going to go. I said, just skip all that.
Yeah.
Let's go into nature.
Yeah.
And then, I invite them to places, people with really homes that are really beautifully, creatively decorated or built, or beautiful architecture.
Walk the Venice canals.
Vistas. Like Venice canals, just like being in nature. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's what people really connect to the city when I take them for a drive, like over Mulholland or in Los Angeles National Forest.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Like, I don't like doing touristy things when my friends and family come here. Like, I want them to experience it the way that I experience it, and it's architectural design. It's definitely nature, and it's people too. Like, there are hubs of communities that you just go in and you're just automatically welcomed, and it's a totally different vibe.
And it's so amazing.
Yeah.
I mean that it's here, all of it.
Yeah. It's all here. All right, so now that we've been commissioned by the state of California to promote the state, well, so let's get back to like conversation and connecting. And what are some questions that you would ask to get to know somebody? Like you could just ask me and I'll answer them. Like, what are the your go-to, like you're trying to get to know someone, and you're like, this is the question I usually ask.
It's a bit what we've talked about in your introduction. What are your dreams for life? Mm-hmm. Because I think it tells so much about, this heart connection, and if people have that heart connection. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would like to know. Mm-hmm. And the city can look like, what do you do right now? That question. But I'm really interested in people's dreams.
Yeah.
And also their story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So future and past and in the present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just want to go there. Do you want to know what motivates them? So like the goals, the dreams, and then like where they came from.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would add to that why too, like the goals, why? Because
that branches out of it.
Yeah, because when you know that, it's like, all right, I got it. Like there's we could have the same exact goal, but the why is so entirely different that it could actually create disconnection.
Right.
I think the why is super, super important. It's I talk about like when you first meet someone, you go like to awkward networking events, and people are doing the what do you do? That question really nobody likes to answer. And what if you don't like what you do, and now you've got to answer this question? You're like, well, I really don't like what I do. The energy in the conversation deadpans. But an easy question to ask somebody is, why are you here? Like, why did you come here?
Oh, that's nice.
So it's not too invasive. It's not the big why, but it will reveal some some of their values and beliefs. So it's like why they picked that particular event and showed up. Why was it important to them? Like that usually turns out pretty, and it's comfortable for everybody, and at the end of the day, like I like to make it comfortable for everybody. I think that,
of course,
I think it feels better. What do you tend to share about yourself pretty quickly? You meet somebody.
I'm thinking, I'm trying to think what we've just shared already. I don't know if we have like a set of like things. I mean, usually we talk about where I'm from, because it's my name. Like, how do you say it? So I've got to spell it out. And what is it like, to come here? And so, I haven't met somebody before. It would be that. Yeah. But also what I do right now. It's just it's a big part of what makes me tick in this world. Yeah. So that I would share that. I would share that I love going into nature, because that's where I spend most of my off time.
And nature, is it mountains? Is it like, what's like, are you mountain? A lot of people go, are you mountain or ocean person? Like, are you water or mountains? Like, what's the hiking? Like,
I live close to the mountains. It's easy access for me. I just drive up the 2 freeway and I'm right in the forest. So I'm there all the time. But the beach is beautiful as well. I love being in the water. Yeah. What else do I share?
or I can switch this. What would you never share when you first met somebody?
I've been trying to think about that.
Yeah.
It's kind of depending on, if there's an agenda or like the setting that we're in. What would I never share? Do you have some examples?
Well, I think this is where we'll probably vibe on this. I don't have a set thing either. I think it's about vibing. I think this is why it's so hard for you to answer this, because it's like you're kind of going with like, well, what's there? Like, what am I playing off of? And with that regard, I would never share something about myself that I sense would make someone else feel uncomfortable. Yeah.
I'm doubtful about that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think that discomfort can help somebody to check themselves, because, I would never hide that I'm gay, that I'm an immigrant, that I believe in equality. I would just, and if it makes them uncomfortable, it's something for them to check.
Yeah.
So I would share those things.
Yeah.
I believe, especially in our political climate right now, I believe in visibility.
Yeah.
Visibility in the amazing diversity and variety that we are as people. So we're not just like, white, straight, male, Christian, conservative people. They're, that's not the biggest part of our society. So I believe in, I mean, if that makes somebody uncomfortable, I can only be myself, and I'm not going to apologize for that.
Yeah.
So if that makes somebody uncomfortable, I'm sorry.
I'm actually excited that you're checking me on this, because I also agree with, I think for me, like on first meeting, I would like test the waters, and then the second thing, but I agree with leaning into the discomfort. Like, I think this is the biggest problem that's going on, is that we're all in our little bubbles and nobody's connecting and relating on the differences and the similarities. So probably like not the first thing that I would say, but I would, I look at it, and this is probably the marketer part of me. This is definitely the marketer part of me, is like, I want to gain influence. Like, if in the discomfort I have an opportunity to teach somebody something, I know I could miss that opportunity if the timing is not right, if the sequence is not right. So I look to kind of gain a little bit of influence, and then go for the discomfort. And that's very strategic. I know it sounds very strategic, but there's a behavioral part of me and a marketer part of me that is looking for certain outcomes, and want certain outcomes. And one of the biggest outcomes that I want is more understanding, more connection, more people walking around with knowledge,
Right, that would be great.
Differences,
yes.
So I love that you checked me on that, because now we're having this conversation about it. But at first, I
didn't mean to check you on it.
No, I love it.
It's just, that's how I do it. Do it how you do it. I do it how I do it.
Yeah, that's right. That's why we're talking. I want to kind of talk about this shirt. This is a good thing. So this, to me, I talk about conversational fashion. Like, I believe that we now are in a time where we need to wear things that stand for something, because we want to talk. Like, ask me about this.
Exactly,
right?
Visibility.
Yeah. So if someone asked you about that, and you could tell, like, there's two ways that someone can ask you about that. They could do what I did when I saw it. I was like, yeah, I love the shirt. Right. I'm happy. Or they go, nice shirt. What would you say?
In which case?
Well, I know what you're going to say when they say yeah. You're just gonna yeah, that's cool. Let's go with the hard one. Let's go with the uncomfortable one.
I would ask them, like, why do you respond that way? What's going on that you respond that way? And then they will say something, and I would want to find out why they believe what they believe, because I've found that when you keep asking about their whys, people. And me as well. I'm just telling people, but it also applies to me. People will come to a place where if it's a delusion that they're believing in, or a sense of separation, they will be faced with that.
Yeah.
When you keep asking for the why,
yes,
then they go like, I don't know, I was taught that way.
Yeah.
People in church told me to, stuff like that, and then they realize that they've just adapted something that was not their own, and they can choose in that moment to either stick with it or discard it and find a more loving truth.
And I'd add to that, I love whys. Everybody knows this. That's like my favorite kind of connection or question to ask someone is a why question. But when you go into a series of like, well, why that? Well, why that? It's usually around the fourth or the fifth one that something breaks down, or there's like, you know what? There's more to this here. Like, and it's not necessarily like, there's a realization that everything's wrong. It's more of a realization of who you are and what you're leaned into. Like, it's actually a very, I don't know, it's an amazing thing to be an adult and still discover things about you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's pretty incredible.
I found that, like in my later years, it sounds like I'm old. But
I kind of in your later years.
Yes, that's my walker. No, but as I'm more mature now, I've found that my capacity to have a learning approach to my life has increased.
Yeah.
For a while in my 20s and 30s, it was kind of like, I was kind of stuck in my beliefs, and then later, thanks to USM as well, and all the experiences I had, I was able to be more fluid in that.
I would agree with that. In your 20s, you think you know everything. In your 30s, you're like miserable because you start to figure out you don't, and then you get into your 40s, you're like, yeah, I got this, and I'm still learning, and you love learning. Like it's like, it's amazing.
I love getting into my 40s.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
God, did I just admit that? Nobody in LA is supposed to admit their age. Women in LA are not supposed to admit their age, but oh well. You know what? My birthday's coming up. Now you guys will know.
Break the mold.
Yeah. Let's break the mold. What else can we talk about? So, what do you wish happens more in like just first interaction? Like, so when you're out like meeting people and like, is there do you experience a void? Or maybe not, and what do you wish like more interactions are like? And maybe like if it helps you, like think of one like recently when you met somebody and you're like, yeah, like that was cool, and like I wish there was more of that in the world.
Back to the authenticity. Yeah, if I meet somebody, it can be at the checkout in Trader Joe's or whatever. If there's a genuine connection, if people allow themselves to be authentic, including me, I found that that experience is a lot of it is self-powered. I find that the more authentic I am, the more it gives others the permission to do the same thing.
I 100% agree, and I wouldn't even mind if that authentic like realness that someone was like negative in a way. So I always reflect back to there's this person in my building. I live downtown LA, and every time I see her in a distance, I catch her micro glances, and her micro glances are saying, "Oh, it's her again." That's what she's saying to me. She gets closer to me, and then she's like, "Oh my God, you look so great. Where are you going?" Like over the top, Faye. Like over the top, like. And it's just, all I can do is just kind of like, okay, but like I wish, like I would rather her go, you know what, I'm not really excited to see you, like, or just be more authentic about that, or walk the other way, than to give me that, like it's so annoying. Like, just tell me what's up, like, why are you having this reaction to me? Like,
that would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had never considered that.
Yeah, and everybody does. It's also. A thing, I know because you're an empath, like you probably pick up on this too. We all have these like little micro glances or these little micro things that happen upon first interaction that are more telling than often what comes after,
right.
So I find them, I see them very often. I'm like, I got you. I know what's going on there. Yeah. Right. But yeah, if we could be more honest about that, like
even about the negative feelings.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. I would welcome that. I mean,
you blow my mind.
Really?
I'm like trying to imagine that. Yeah, that would be good.
Well, we'd be talking. I mean, like that to me is the problem right now. It's like we can't even have honest conversations about, things that are hurting us or things that like are important to us, and so yeah, there's a little bit too much. Like I'll just stay over here,
right?
Or just little jabs instead of just coming out and going, you know what? I know you said this and you believe in this, but it hurts me, or I'm offended by that, and here's why. I'm like, okay, no, we're talking.
Right.
Now we're in a conversation.
Right.
Like, let's go.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I would go for that. So hey,
That would be amazing.
I wish the person in my building was listening, but I know she's not.
Maybe she's my most loyal fan.
No, I doubt it. I doubt it. But yeah, I would love that.
Because I'm thinking it would also relieve us from our stories and our own, our own sort of, what's the word, like ruminating our own self-judgment.
Yeah, well...
you don't have to project because there's people already saying, like, what the hell's up for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and perception is usually wrong, too. Like there's so much to learn when, like, if this person was able to say, well, there was this thing that you did this one time and I took it as this, and I have a chance to go, but that's not at all what was going on. Like, again, now we're talking. Now we're like, we have the ability to actually authentically connect, because now I can say that, well, this is actually what happens. And the other thing that's just in my mind, I don't know how to work this in, is like, I wish every person, like if I had a wand, if I had a relating wand, I would wish for everyone to have the ability to know their own role in it. So what I mean by that is, like, you can like perceive another person for doing something, that came across in one way to you, but your interaction with them affected that thing that you're perceiving, and in not identifying that creates a lot of problem too. Right.
It's
so
confusing.
Yeah.
Right.
So like identifying that, like, you had a role in this situation. I had a situation just recently where a person was made a plan to show up at a certain time, changed the time. Really busy day for me, and I still tried to be accommodating, and then ended up being another 30 minutes late from the time that was changed. And on first interaction was, the traffic. Not, I'm sorry, not, so of course, like, I mean, I'm allocating, I'm bending time, I'm already thinking about, like, how much,
of course,
I've got to get done, but I'm like, I'm trying to be pliable.
Right.
But no, sorry. Yeah, now I'm a little bit more tense, like now I'm like, yeah, so there could have been a better way to, like, okay, well, this is where we are, you were late, let's just move on and get to it. But that didn't happen, So my magic wand of knowing your role in it, I think, would be amazing.
A what?
It would be amazing.
It would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, what else, like, is there, like, what else can we say about just making connection and conversation more mutually beneficial? What can we say about that? Like, is it really paying attention to, asking, kind of bantering back and forth with questions and really listening, or, what else can we say about that like is a tool for making connection more mutually beneficial? What would you think? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, but that's what this is for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to listen for the person behind the content.
Yeah.
And the meaning of what they're saying.
Yeah.
If that's available to you. Not to just listen to the words, but also to listen for the person behind it. Like, feel their, I don't know how you would sense that, feel, or...
I think this is hard for you, because you, to me, and this is, again, my first time experiencing you, you are already naturally curious, and you're very leaned in to the conversation and connecting, and even how you're looking at me, I'm like, we're connecting,
Right.
Like, so this is a harder thing for you to think about, because you're creating, your role in it. You're creating some pretty good experiences, I think, when you meet people where it's not,
awkward.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's why this is a hard question for you to answer.
Well, how do you do it? Do you have any other?
It's definitely being curious. It's definitely, like, I try to say I want to be available for connection. So we live in a very distracted, world with the phone and the news, and so at any time, I'm dedicating time to connect, right? Like this show, I dedicate time to, like, meet somebody and have a conversation. If I set a time for coffee or, meet someone for lunch or whatever, I'm not available for anybody else. I'm just available for them. The phone is somewhere else. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I could say is, like, the phone is off.
Right.
The phone is somewhere else. I'm not allowing other things to pull my attention. I showed up to connect with you.
Right.
You know, I think that would be a thing. If I answered my own question about what I wished more, would just for people to lean into that, put the phone away,
Right.
turn it off, you know, and just be available.
Right. And I mean, it's kind of baseline.
Yeah, it is baseline.
I'm just thinking, is it always baseline? I mean, with my partner sometimes,
Yeah.
when we're in
Yeah.
the same space, we're like, you know, how's it going? You know,
Yeah.
then we're back at the phone. So, but yeah, when I meet somebody, when there's a dedicated time for it, then I would do that too.
Yeah.
I think that it's like the most basic
It should be.
condition.
It should be.
Yeah.
But yet you see, like, you know, I live in a downtown area, I walk around a lot. I see 4 out of 5 people head down on their phone. And
Right.
even people that are together, they're walking in there
Right.
with their phone. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're with a person. Like, you know, like,
must
I want to
say,
see people holding hands again. I want to, like, you know, see people giggling and having a good time and not, like, at a dinner table or in a
Right.
restaurant with the phone out. Like,
I've done both. I'm
Yeah.
guilty.
You're guilty?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
It's honest. We're being real. It's what it's about. All right. Well, let's switch gears.
All right.
And so another thing that I like to illustrate on the show is just at any given time how we're relating can
Mhm.
change. And there's always more information available. So,
Mhm.
like, we don't know everything about you.
No.
No,
And
not
neither
even
do
close.
I know anything about you.
That's right.
Right.
All right. So what we can do is we'll do both. I'll ask you a question out of one of these things, the book or the box, and then you can do one from me.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So would you like the box or the book? A question out of the box or the book?
Let's do the box.
The box. Okay. This box is called "Not Your Mother's Dinner Party."
Oh, I like
So they're
it.
they're silly. They can be silly. All right. Let's see what do we got. Oh shit! All right. Try not to be political on the show, but you know sometimes it happens. Which non-politician would make the best president, in your opinion?
The best president. Ooh. See, I'm really bad with like names of public figures and.
You could maybe start by saying what characteristics they would embody. If a celebrity doesn't come to mind, or maybe it's just your grandma, or like somebody. You know, you're like, no, it's not that. That was a very clear no. Not that.
I mean, she's no longer alive, but yeah. Let's see. A president. I mean, I've been tuning into Michael Bernard Beckwith's work lately,
Okay.
and I'm so in awe of his way to pull in spiritual concepts and to give language to it in a way that's really easily to digest by people. He's the first one that popped up.
Okay.
Because I go to his services sometimes at Agape, and I'm just always in awe of the how his message is integrated in society. Is not just on the spiritual level, but it also includes political and foremost personal and authenticity as well.
Okay.
So that's the first one that popped up.
Yeah, that's a good one. For people that are listening that have never heard of Michael, I'll share a link. He runs a church, or it's a spiritual community here called Agape, and he was involved in The Secret, the documentary The Secret.
Yep.
So I'll share that if anybody's interested. But yeah, I've been there too, and he's a great speaker and very inspirational. I agree with that. All right, I want the book. The book.
The book? All
yeah.
right.
So I'm just gonna flip through. You flip through, and I'll tell you when to stop.
All right.
Stop.
Okay, I have a choice because there's 2 pages.
Well, pick one. Life is about choices.
Okay. Would you give up half of what you own for a pill that would permanently alter you, so that sleeping an hour a day would fully refresh you without side effects? Wow.
A pail or pill?
A pill.
A pill?
Yeah.
A pill.
Popping a pill.
That's okay. So, okay. So would I give up half of what I own for a pill that would allow me to only sleep an hour a day and to not have any weird side effects? I don't think so. Because here's a couple reasons why. I don't know much. So I wouldn't, I just don't know much. So I don't know if I'd want to give up. And I'm not a big fan of pills of any kind.
I agree.
So the idea of putting something synthetic in my body and not knowing the outcome, and sleep's really important to me. I just got to be honest with you. So yeah, I don't think I would do it.
Me neither.
Yeah, you wouldn't do it?
I agree.
Okay.
This is interesting. It's like a yes or no question.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to ask me the yes or no question?
No, I mean, this is like yes or no.
Yeah.
But I agree. I appreciate you sharing more about it.
Yeah. Do you want to do one more?
I do want to do one more.
Okay. Do you want the book or the box?
The box.
Okay. You're just going to stick with the box?
Yes.
All right, I'll stick with the book.
I'm a box man.
All right, he's a box man. Does that mean boxers too? I'm just kidding.
Sometimes.
The show is changing very quickly. All right. Did you ever run away from home?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, 10 years ago you came to LA. No.
Well, yes.
But
I mean, as a
even before
kid,
that?
yeah, I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would. I'm from a Northern European culture.
Okay.
And we're kind of heady people.
Okay.
This is a generalization, but we're very rational as a culture.
Uh-huh.
I'm a very sensitive and emotional person, and I didn't experience a lot of space for that. So whenever that would come to a head, so
Yeah.
you say, I would make 2 butter and cheese sandwiches and pack them up and say, Mom and Dad, I'm off, and I'd get maybe half a mile down to where the horses were, and then hang out with the horses, and then I want to go back home.
When your sandwich was done?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. All right, I like that.
That was my running away.
That was your running away. It works. You had food, you had a mission, then you came back.
Right.
I like it.
Accomplished.
All right, one more from the book for
All right.
me. Let's see. I don't often do this, but I think it's fun. I got to tell you stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
At a meal, some people start belittling a common acquaintance. Would you stand up for the person if you felt the criticisms were unjustified?
Yeah. Not a problem. I said this in my intro. If I'm the only one involved in a situation and it's unfavorable, I'll probably step out of it and before I'd even touch it, maybe just to give it some space or whatever. So I fleet more. But when other people are involved, I'm more likely to fight. If it's a dinner party that I'm hosting, I would want, good energy and good vibes and stuff. So I would, take people aside. I think it's a Boy Scout thing that you praise in public and then you discipline in private. So I wouldn't, take this person right there with everybody and say, stop doing that. I'd probably pull them aside and go, hey, I don't know what the issue is. Can it wait?
Right.
But yeah, I wouldn't allow that to happen.
That's a very caring way of doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Boy Scout way, I think. I don't know why I know that this is a Boy Scout thing, but it's in my mind that it's a Boy Scout thing. So
I think it's very caring.
yeah, I think it's.
I'm not sure if I would do that.
What would you do?
I'm probably make it a discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why? Yeah, but if it's a person, if they're talking about the person's personal traits or whatever, and it's, I don't know.
Well, yeah, you'd have to pull that apart.
Yeah. Life and situations are complicated. All right, well, so thank you for that. That was fun.
Yes.
That just puts
Can
some
we
energy.
do more?
Yeah, we could if we had another hour to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we both done?
Yeah, we're almost done.
Oh, wow.
I
It went
told
so
you.
fast.
Yeah, it goes by pretty fast.
Wow.
It goes by really fast. So the last thing that I ask for people to do on this show is what I call heart swell.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, with the intention that, first of all, it shouldn't be scary to share deep emotions. And the idea is just to, think of somebody or someone's, it could be a group of people that, really has meant something to you. They've taught you something. They deserve a shout out. They deserve, some deep-hearted, feelings and acknowledgement. So just think of someone and then just say that to that person, that, hey, I just want to acknowledge you for da-da-da-da-da. Does someone come to mind?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of unexpected, but thank you for putting me on the spot with that one.
Okay.
So
it's kind of been the theme of the show, hasn't it? Putting you on the spot a lot. I'm sorry.
It seems to have worked out okay.
Yeah, I think it did.
So the first person that pops up is Dr. Patricia Gay. She started out as my therapist. I had lost my partner and needed help with working through some PTSD as a result of the loss that I experienced. And throughout the years, she's been such a force for this authenticity that we've talked about. She was able to help me to uncover that. And so, just I'm talking to her now.
Yeah, talk to her.
Dear God in the headlights. I want to thank you for your loving support. It's really, it's really surprised me how much of it was available to me, and that was so helpful. In the beginning, when I first started working with her, I could call her anytime, which I didn't, but I did call her when I needed to. And that support, to have that there, was really helping me to cement my own sense of self-worth and value. So I want to thank you for your support over the years. We've become friends in the process. I don't know what else I can say about it.
I think you said it.
Just big thank you, and that you deserve a shout out. Yeah.
I think that's all you have to say. I like that it's your therapist that you're shouting out, because I believe that should be more of a thing that people do, and not have like some weird thing about, and we need the connection and the help from others, and we need people to run, things by, and,
I think it should be like standard.
I do too.
Like, you go to school, you get a life coach, you become an adult, you get a therapist.
Yeah.
That should be part of our...
We go to the gym, we get a trainer. Like,
exactly.
Like, what's the difference? Like, we work out our bodies for some optimized result. Like, why not this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it helps people to uncover that authenticity.
I agree, 100%. Well, is there anything else that you want to share or ask me? We're almost to the end here. Like, how was this for you?
It was new. I've never done this before. Yeah. I've noticed that I had like a dual awareness. Like, I was interested in you, but also kind of aware of all the lights and the stuff going on around us. Yeah. And so I would like to know more about you. Okay. I was fascinated by just a little talk that we had before we started about you going from Dallas, and then your motivation for doing this work, and that really piqued my interest, because I didn't know, like I said, that you were so politically motivated, and I would like to hear more about that.
I'd say worldly motivated,
worldly
more than politically
motivated.
motivated.
That's better.
I wish that I wanted to be a politician. I think I would do some good, but I don't care to be involved in that area. And I wish more people like us were that are coming from more of a heart-centric place, with empathy, wanted to be in politics, but they don't.
So if I may ask, what else do you do? Like, you do this amazing, you have this amazing platform. What is do you have a goal in mind of where you want it to go? I would love to hear about it.
So I'll use that as part of the closing for this, and then I know you love tea, so we're going to have to set a time for tea, and we'll do more of this, and I'll hear more about what you're doing. But so one of the things that I always close the show with is talking about my work at the Relational Center. And the Relational Center is a community center. It's you can get involved in all kinds of events and groups, and we promote interdependence. It's, we don't believe that this illusion of independence is just really unachievable. Like, nobody's an overnight success or success by themselves. We need people. We need to learn how to do better with each other. They do that. They also offer therapy on a scale. So they're.
Where is it?
It's Mid-City.
Okay.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'm doing there is what I call public shared experience. I do it once a month, and it's an event where people that are feeling disenchanted, not feeling connected with each other, get a chance to have like a relational shot of energy. And what it is just a bunch of strangers in a room, and putting them through a certain sequence of exercises to warm them up to each other, and then at some point I ask them to share something, like whatever's there, to somebody else, like a compliment, like, I sense this about you. And it is so
That's beautiful.
Amazing.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah, you got to come. You got to come. Like, it's so amazing what happens, because things are said and people like really needed to hear them. And it feels like there's this weird spiritual psychic vibe that entered in the room, and nobody claims that. I'm not claiming to have any of those special powers. In fact, I'm saying the exact opposite. That I'm nobody special. It's just that we as humans are hardwired for connection, and we are so void of it right now that even just having a little hint of it feels like this amazing, experience. So my goal is to obviously continue to do those for more people, but I want to do that on a bigger scale. I dream about doing that with a large group of people, and just letting them just turn the switch on again, feel like how we're connected, not how we're divided. We've got a lot of stuff going on that shows us how we're divided. My goal is just to turn the switch on and go, we're connected, And so that's the other thing that I'm working on. So with all that being said, the next one is October 25th at the Relational Center. They're usually the last Wednesday of the month. It starts at 7 p.m. You got to come. I'll send you the information.
Oh, wow. I would love to.
And as always, I invite everybody that's listening to come. I would love to meet people that have been listening to the show and following along, and give them that gift of having that experience of connection.
Did you start this?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
Thank you. It's my energy source. When I say. When I started the show and said I'm feeling a little relationally drained, I can't wait to have PSE, public shared experience, because I'll get filled up again too, just by facilitating that experience.
I have a ton more questions now.
Well, we have no more time, so we'll go off air and we'll talk. But I'm going to share where people can get connected to you via your website and Instagram. So we'll share that in the archives. And thank you. Thank you for being here. This was a lot of fun. I could sometimes I tell people I can feel the goosebumps or just feel the energy in the room. I can definitely feel that. You got
Same here.
A lot of good stuff going on. And next show, so tentatively, I'm trying to bring Claire Weiland back. We had a reschedule. She's still not feeling great. So if everybody could just put out some prayers and healing vibes for Claire, that would be awesome. We hope that she'll be able to join us next week, but not sure. And as always, before we close, I just want to say, this should be the social challenge of the week, is just to have more awareness of the people around you. Look to the left, look to the right, and find a way to just go, I see you, compliment somebody. Hey, nice shirt. It's really cool. I'm glad you wore that today. We need more of that to tip that scales where we feel connected to each other. So the social challenge of the week is to compliment a stranger, but do it first by looking all the way around. Look at everybody.
Eye contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the social challenge of the week. And as always, I just want to encourage everybody to relate with more curiosity. That's it.
I support that. Bye.
I second that.
You're listening to Relatable with Stephanie Michele, only on LA Talk Radio.